even. Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant.
Perkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Hatteberg's a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive, hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the line. Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did. He did. Reds win. Win. Line to the right field. Geno, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
Mike, we're back live on a Sunday. My man, long time no see. Hope you're doing well. The Reds have added their power bat. Eugenio Suarez once again, a Cincinnati Red. Mike, how we doing tonight?
Good vibes only, baby. Good vibes only. I'm excited to see Geno back. We can forget about everything I might not have said about him last night. Let's go. I'm glad to see somebody, that is going to be bringing serious power to the lineup. I know we're going to have to work out where he's going to play and where he's, how he's going to do that. But boy, it's glad to see, an offensive piece that you can legitimately see add the homer power, which is just something that was completely lacking from last year and this year's this lineup. So yeah, very excited. I'm happy to have you. Just a great guy to root for. So it should be fun.
It should be a lot of fun. And if you at home are looking to add power to your lineup, you know how you can do it. You can visit omahasteaks.com. Right now, they've got the Start Strong sale event, so load up on your protein. Of course, that is essential if you're trying to add muscle to your lineup like the Cincinnati Reds just did. They've got their protein essential packages, including Taco Night Done Right, the Lean Protein Bundle, Pasta Night Essentials, a Power Protein Bowl Pack, Fajita Night, Sunday Roast Dinner, and much, much more. Of course, it's a new year and a good time to make your life easier by getting premium meats and other great food items delivered right to your door with Omaha Steaks. Everything's packaged perfectly, fits very well in a tight fridge or freezer to get you stocked up. And I tell you what, let Omaha Steaks deliver high quality proteins right to your door. Visit omahasteaks.com and get an extra $35 off with promo code CHATTER at checkout. That's OMAHA steaks.com, promo code chatter. Terms apply. See site for details. Mike, the Reds did indeed add power to their lineup. Eugenio Suarez rejoins the Cincinnati Reds. Your immediate reaction, my friend?
My immediate reaction was I didn't think that this was going to happen. I think I thought maybe both of you were like, both of us were like, well, I think they're done. Whether it's figuring out what the TV deal is going to be, or we kind of missed our window with somebody like a Schwarber, and we just decided to go a different way. But I was shocked. It was just immediate shock because I just really didn't think the Reds had it in them this offseason to pull something like this.
Yeah, I was listen, I was in the shower literally and started to get a bunch of text messages. My hair is still wet. My phone was blowing up and had no option but to check and make sure everything was okay, and next thing you know, I checked my phone and the notifications were positive. Let's just put it that way. Geno Suarez, a Red yet again, rejoins the Reds after a stint from 2015 to 2021 where he matched 189 home runs for the Reds. Obviously a big piece of the conversation that everybody was talking about was needing to add power to the lineup for multiple reasons, Mike. Obviously, they're playing in Great American Ballpark. Makes a lot of sense to try and build some power into your lineup. And if we're being honest, and this is me, I love to be honest. I'd love to be optimistic. I'm Mr. Optimistic over here. You've now got a lineup that, in theory, could feature a 2, 3, 4, 5 hitter of Noelvi Marte, Elly De La Cruz, Eugenio Suarez, and Sal Stewart on a nightly basis. That doesn't sound like too bad of a middle of the lineup.
Yeah, I completely agree. It really lengthens out this lineup, and is going to basically drop somebody, whether it's whoever we're going to DH, whether it's a Steer or somebody who I think we can all agree just doesn't have the upside that somebody like Geno Suarez with his thump can bring to this lineup. So yeah, I agree. It not only is going to add juice in here, but just like lengthens the lineup out there, making it harder on pitchers. Just like if you got to continue to face, Sal Stewart or Matt McClain down lower in the lineup, those are people that we in the past have asked for them to be at the top of the lineup. So it's just like being able to get through that type of thing, I think is only going to pay dividends in many different ways.
It's a 1-year deal with a mutual option for 2027. He'll make $15 million in 2026. And then I saw that the mutual option for 2027 was $16 million, but I didn't see what the buyout number was. So, or if there is a buyout at all on a mutual option, I guess. But nonetheless, a 1-year deal, $15 million. That feels like a pretty good deal for a guy that hit nearly 50 home runs in 2025.
Yeah, I agree. Power is not cheap. And from everything I saw some people talking about how they're not being a buyout is actually, a pretty good thing. If he absolutely tanks, which we hope it wouldn't be the case, and basically you don't owe him anything for that. So I think that's good. I was surprised at that number. I frankly thought he might get more, and maybe there just wasn't the interest from other teams. Because Arise got 14, right?
You got 12.
12. Yeah. Okay. Like, to me, that's in the same ballpark. And Suarez can offer, in my opinion, much, much more to this lineup than Luis Arise can. So somebody who hit 49 home runs last year, had a 125 WRC plus, Had a low batting average, but boy, man, he was somebody that drove in 118 runs. It's somebody that I think everyone can agree is just something fills just a huge need that was just sorely being missed in this lineup.
Yeah, a big piece of the question mark around Eugenio Suarez was similar to the question mark around Kyle Schwarber. And that was defensively, how does he fit into a team? Jeff Passan, amongst many reporters at this point, reporting that he's expected to get a majority of his at-bats at DH for the Reds, but that he could slot in and pick up some innings at first base or at third base. My question to you, Mike, is how do you see him slotting in 2026? Do we see him in the field much? If so, where? And then I have some follow-up questions for you as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many total games he has played at first. I see in 2025 he played 3 games at first base. But I don't know how many he's like total taken. So I'm not sure defensively where he necessarily stands. But everything that we've pointed to, I think that there's some questions on how this is going to affect potentially Sal Stewart. And my expectation here is actually, I think maybe doesn't have as much of an effect on Sal as we think. I think Sal is going to, this almost cements Sal into saying, hey, I think you're going to be our first baseman while Suarez is DH. And I think this is maybe a symbol of things to come for Spencer Steer. I think Steer becomes the odd man out here just because of his bat. Unless Sal is just a complete negative at first base, which I don't think we expect him to be. I think that Steer is the one that's really going to see a drop in playing time with Suarez showing up. I think that they're going to be really working to get Sal still in that lineup, whether it's at first base or not. And plus, maybe this also is a signal that maybe we don't get 155 out of Ke'Bryan Hayes. Maybe somebody that has a history of back issues and something like that, maybe they're going to be willing to filter him out maybe once a week or something like that. And you can have Suarez, who wasn't awesome at third base, but obviously has played it for many years and is definitely passable there at third base and be able to filter things out that way. So I think it gives Tito some more options with potentially rotating people through, keeping them fresh, as well as, allows people to, say, hey, here's a big bat in the lineup.
Yeah, you touched on it there. I think you touched on it last night as well, is that ultimately, if we're being completely honest, the outfield's a bit of a question mark. Obviously, they go out and they add JJ Bleday, they add Dane Myers in the conversation of a potential platoon in the outfield. You mentioned at that point that Spencer Steer may get some run in the outfield as well, maybe even a little bit more than some people are expecting. Of course, you add Will Benson into the mix as well, and maybe you even have a Spencer Steer, Will Benson platoon out in the outfield instead of JJ Bleday or Dane Myers, and maybe Dane Myers plays mainly center field. I don't know, but I guess the main question for you, and the first question that came to my mind, of course, is what does this mean for Sal Stewart and what does it mean for Spencer Steer? Because at least from my perspective, the expectation would be that if he's going to eat innings anywhere defensively, it'd probably be more so at first base than at third. But he does, as you mentioned, provide a bit of a insurance policy at third base as well, in case they either want to keep Ke'Bryan Hayes fresh or if he does in fact have injury issues. So let's put it that way. I mean, where now does that all shake out? Obviously, there was a conversation before today that it would be pretty obvious that Spencer Steer and Sal Stewart would both be in the lineup probably every day. One of them would be first base. One of them would be a DH. That can't be the case now with Eugenio Suarez on the team.
Yeah, I think it's the outfield, I think, is as wide open as we've seen it probably going into spring training. I think there's a legitimate hey, we have a bunch of options here. Let's roll the balls out and see who wins the spot, whether it's Benson, Steer, Bleday, Myers. I think that there's probably of those that I mentioned, Steer probably has the upper hand just because he has the most previous success. Prolonged success. He did have a down dip last year when he was injured, but I think Steer is definitely still somebody that they would want to get in the lineup. But I think it it's now going to be, hey, who can do something in left field and potentially center. Maybe we start rotating TJ Friedel a little bit, maybe play him less against lefties. Who knows? But this is going to become a pretty interesting outfield battle, specifically left field battle going into spring training that I don't know if we've had an opportunity to look at these past couple of years.
It's an interesting question in the chat, and I need to pull it up real quick. Did the Reds have a spot on their 40-man to be able to add?
So. I don't think so.
So the follow-up question becomes,
who's the DFA?
What's the move? Is it a DFA? Is it a trade on the horizon? What is your thoughts on that?
Interesting. It could. There's a couple things here, right? To me, the obvious, I guess the easiest one is Ben Rortvedt, right? Ben Rortvedt, 0 options, your third catcher. He was DFA'd already. It was nice to have insurance and stuff like that, but maybe let this guy through. Hopefully he makes it through waivers and he still is able to do spring training with you. That's probably what I think is most likely. The other thing that I'm thinking of and this is cover your ears, Nick Kirby, but I feel like of all the people on the roster, this to me is the worst signal for somebody like Christian Encarnacion-Strand, right? Christian Encarnacion-Strand is now blocked there by 3 people, like Suarez, Sal, Suarez, and potentially Steer. That are, we're expecting to be given serious look there. And I don't know if they would DFA him because I think that he probably still has some value and would probably get claimed on waivers, especially with two options. But, sneakily, that may be somebody that they look to try to move, maybe even for just, something, just because there's, his spot is just gone. Like there just doesn't seem like a legitimate pathway for him to the big leagues anymore with what they've chosen to go do.
Yeah, which matches one of the quote unquote bold takes that we saw last night, was that we have seen the end of CES in a Cincinnati Reds major league uniform. Certainly wasn't going to do it at first base, and doesn't seem as if now that he's even an insurance policy at third base. It seems now that this makes sense. Now, the other question, of course, is there's been a lot of conversation around the middle of the infield depth. Geno obviously doesn't solve that question. Hard to imagine that Tyler Callahan makes the opening day roster now with Geno taking that additional spot. So my question now is, what do they do up the middle of the infield?
Yeah, maybe that's Steer. I know that we have, he hasn't gotten that much for us to get a bunch of real good data defensively. It hasn't been great. Like, obviously wasn't as good as Gold Glove finalist at first base, but maybe part of this is they feel that Steer can fill that role, right? The Santiago Espinal role of last year, right? Where Espinal played third, short, second, first, left field, like he was all over the place, basically filled in wherever was needed. And I think that's probably going to be where Steer is, whether it's giving people a blow or giving people, a day off or filling in an injury or something like that. So I think that ultimately becomes Steer's role here. And maybe this is signaling that they feel that Steer is able to fill that backup middle infielder role behind somebody like McLean.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to take a quick break and remind you that Deep South Commodities is a proud sponsor of Chatterbox Reds. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks as always to our friends at DSC. All right, Mike, let's get into some predictions and how Geno affects this roster. Let's start with just Geno specifically. Obviously, we talked about it before we went live about his projections at Great American Ballpark. let's talk about what those projections say. And then also tell me what the Mike Hart system says that we can expect from Eugenio Suarez in 2026.
So you're going to love this. Nick loves this expected home runs by park. This where they basically adjust to say, if you would have played your home games at this ballpark, how many home runs? So Suarez had 49. If he would have played his home games at Great American Ballpark, that's up to 54 home runs. Boy, that would have been, if he gets 54 home runs, I don't know if we all expect another season like that out of Suarez. But if he gets to 54 home runs, that's just that would be just unbelievable. A part of I don't know. Last night I gave the take is like I think that he may be on the decline and that he's going to regress and may not be worth the money. And part of that was I don't know if he's going to have a 125 WRC plus with 50 bombs. I don't think he's going to have that next year. But to be honest, even a little bit of regression there with 15 million, which was not nearly, frankly, what I expected Suarez to be able to get. So it's just like if that price comes down, and even if he does regress down to a 115 WRC plus with 40 home runs, that's still 18 or 17 more home runs than anyone on the Reds hit last year, and the highest WRC plus I think that of anyone on the team last year. So I still think that he can play a great role to make this offense and definitely bring the floor of this offense up because of just power is something that can really, really help you doing that. You get away, maybe you strike out the other three times, but rather than having to string together a bunch of base hits, Suarez puts one out in left field off the bleachers and the game's tied. So it's like,
he kills the rally, man. Just absolutely kills the rally.
I think that I think I'd take that. I'd take the 3-run home run any day. So yeah, it just feels like his floor is of home runs is something that is just really, really going to benefit this team.
You believe what Sir Tank says here in the chat? 30 home runs is the floor for a healthy Geno in Great American Ballpark.
I mean, so last year 49. 2024, 30, 2023 in Seattle, 22, which was a down year, but 30 in Seattle the year before, 31 in Cincinnati the year before, that hit 15, but then 49, 34, 26. So, that seems right. 30 seems right. You got to remember Seattle, Arizona, very cavernous ballparks, much harder to hit home runs in. Bring it back to that June Cincinnati warmth at Great American Small Park. That's great. That's great. I think it is definitely, I agree. 30 seems right. You just got to hear my thought process out loud on where we were getting there. But yeah, I think that's probably right. 30 home runs. I don't know. What do you think about that?
It's hard to imagine Geno in Cincinnati not hitting 30 home runs, especially after the year that he just had last year. I think the thing that this does, and you mentioned earlier about extending the lineup, right? And I brought up that kind of middle of the lineup in the, we'll call it the treacherous stretch there of now Cincinnati power bats. It just feels like at this point, the Reds now have not only brought in a power bat, but they've given protection to their other hitters to ensure that they're getting looks at pitches that they can drive out of the ballpark as well. The question will be, how do pitchers approach this conversation, right? Are they willing to take their risk with Geno? Do they want to face Ellie? Like, what does that look like from their perspective? Geno playing a full season in Cincinnati hit 31, 49, 34, 26, and 21 home runs. 21 obviously being his first full season in the majors back in 2016. I don't see how he could possibly not hit 30 home runs at this point in this ballpark. So yeah, I think we're going to be saying, as Nate Seltzer put here, member for 23 months. We appreciate you, Nate. How many DSC deep drives will Geno's name be on the Seabox Reds post game? Will he be able to use cooking oil that he had in 2019? That would be quite the renewable commodity. Yeah, we appreciate you, Nate. Appreciate the support as always. And look, I think that you can expect to pencil Geno's name in there probably close to 30 times as the deep drive of the game. And I'm only saying close to 30 times because my hope is that adding Geno to this lineup also opens up the power for some of the other players around him, including guys like Sal Stewart, Ellie De La Cruz, and Noelvi Marte. So do I think the floor is 30? I do. Now the question, Mike, is something that we talked about last night. And I rightfully so continue to catch flack for my expectations around the Cincinnati Reds in 2026, and that's fine. Last night, I said that the Cincinnati Reds, as they were made up at the time, were somewhere in the 76 to 78 win range. I think you said that they were closer to their last year's number.
83, yeah, the same numbers
right?
last year. Yeah.
Yeah. So you said that at 83 wins, they would miss the playoffs, but they would win the same number of games. My question to you now, with Eugenio Suarez in the lineup, how many Reds wins do we see in 2026?
Boy, this is tough. I know he was a 3-win player last year, 3.8 win player last year. I know that's not how WAR works. It's not like you plug somebody in and you get 3 more wins. I know that's not how it works. Yeah. Well,
can it be?
I mean, yeah. I was thinking about your point that you brought up about protection for Ellie. I think is very good. Career wise, he's like a 122 WRC plus against left-handed pitching. And last year, he actually weirdly was better against right-handed pitching. But in his career has hit left-handed pitching well. And I think that is going to be huge, especially around Ellie. There is, unless something completely changes, which it may, I think Ellie may get better. There's going to be people, they're going to be attacking him with left-handed pitching. And the Reds need to have people that make him pay, right? They need to have somebody like a Suarez, hopefully like a Sal Stewart that just says, if you do that, you have 3 batters that you have to deal with, and you may get crushed by these 2 guys. So I think that adds so much more than just his power. It just is going to bring more opportunities to people like TJ Friedel and Ellie De La Cruz. So I would say 3 more wins. So this is what I said, 83, and they lose by 3 games in the playoffs. I think going into the final week of the season, they are in it. They are in it. I think they're playing. I think they end with the Blue Jays, and they're going to have to win those games. But I think that this raises them to, hey, let's get that last wild card spot, which I frankly thought that they were falling short of going into today.
Man, I still am so struggle with that last month of the year, man. It's going to be tough. But look, the text message was sent in our group chat. What do we think this means in terms of wins? And I'm always the pessimist, right? So I see a lot of people in the chat who are much higher on this team than I have been. I got to be honest, Mike. I think he adds more than 7 wins. Or more than 3 wins. Sorry, I was reading 7 while saying I think he adds more than 3 wins. That he might add 7.
Hey, if he adds 7 wins, boy, pick up that mutual option immediately. Do before the season's over.
I responded to the text messages in our chat, and I said I think I might bump him up to the 85 range now, which is like a 7-game bump for them compared to what I thought last night. But I also know that a lot of people thought I was crazy for saying that they're a high 70s win ball club. So yeah, from my perspective, I don't know. I could see him winning 85 plus now.
Yeah. This is definitely not Schwarber. I think we all would have been like, yes, that would have been our number 1. But to be honest, it feels like this is somebody that has Cincinnati roots, somebody that has performed pretty consistently. Even his down years, he still has power. And yeah, he hasn't hit for a bunch of average, but is still going to be able to do that. Somebody that brings good vibes to the clubhouse. It feels like this is this is what Reds fans have been. It doesn't claw back everything from missing out on Schwarber, but I think it gets close. I think it is going to add in ways not only just on the field, but intangibles off the field as well. I really like it, and I don't want to say, hey, everybody has completely changed their outlook on the Reds because of it, but it sure seems like the positivity in the chat is a lot better than what the positivity was even just last night when we were evaluating things. And I love that. I love that, one guy can do that, can really, lengthen the lineup and add the power. I think another thing that we can potentially see too, and whether, when you bring somebody in like this, you never know when this potentially opens up another piece for a trade. I know we haven't talked about, we don't, it's hard to speculate about trades, but this may make somebody who we were maybe even counting on to be a little bit more expendable that could even add more value to this team. Whether it's, trading for an outfielder or pitching depth as we move on in the season or something like that. So there's just all these other hidden ways that having somebody like this, especially for $15 million a year, which is, less or the same amount they're paying Brady Singer, $6 million less than they paid Nick Martinez last year. Like, I know we all wish that they would spend more, but to me, this feels like this is a good value plus just somebody who's going to add so much to this offense.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I think he adds a ton of value, and I'm pulling it up now just to compare him to Schwarber. And look, I respect your take and your opinion. Kyle Schwarber's numbers over the last 5 years are significantly better than Geno's in basically every category.
Sure.
But nonetheless, it for $10 million less, not mad about it.
1 year. And only 1 year of age, right? It's just like you're not locked in if something happens and they, go the way of Jamer Candelario.
Yeah. This is an interesting take in from Danny New, and I think it's maybe one that I think will be echoed by other people. He said, honestly, I wasn't that keen on them signing Geno, but now that it's actually happened, I'm stoked. I think you kind of fall into that boat too, don't you, Mike?
Oh, yeah. I mean, don't go back and look at the tape on what I said. I didn't think you were going to sign him. And I was kind of, I guess, it's like, I don't know if it is. But now that he's here, I'm like, let's do it. Let's get 100% behind the Geno train. Let's do this. I'm so excited for what the possibilities are. Now, are there risks? Sure. But I'm ready for it. And I'm excited to see what he is going to be able to bring to this team.
All right, now here's the question from the chat, and I think a lot of people have asked this. It just happens to be the last one that I see. What's next for the Reds? Do they make any more signings? Help for Veterans wants to know.
This feels like I'd have to do the math on what they said. Hey, this is what our projected budget was and what it's going to end up at. But to me, this feels that either right at or maybe even a little over what they said they were willing to do. So to me, that means they're done with signing. I don't know if they're done doing stuff. There still could be a trade, whether it's trading some of our pitching or something like that. Maybe trade somebody like a Spencer Steer or a CES or somebody that is now a little bit more expendable now that there is somebody clogging up the DH in the first base spot with Sal Stewart. So who knows? I think that there very well could be a trade, but I think signing wise, I think they are done.
All right, let's talk about that. I think it's something that a lot of people are wondering about. And again, if you are living under a rock or just joining us, the Cincinnati Reds and Eugenio Suarez are in agreement on a 1 year, $15 million deal. It comes with a 1 year mutual option for 2027, that one being at $16 million. So other people have posed the question. You just brought it up now. Again, we mentioned the 40-man roster earlier. You mentioned Ben Rortvett's a pretty easy cut if that's the decision that they want to go, but I want to ignore a cut. Who, in your eyes, is most likely to be traded if the Reds make a trade at this point? Is it Brady Singer? Is it Tyler Stevenson? Is it Spencer Steer? Is it somebody else? What is your thoughts right now? If the Reds were to make a trade, what would it be? And I'll throw this additional layer on it. Not only who are they trading, but why and who for?
Yeah.
Like what for?
Because
that's the biggest question for me as you think about this is like, we've been talking all offseason about those guys being quote unquote like targets for a trade. And it was mainly because of the value that they would potentially bring in return and the fact that they could ideally bring a bat back. You've got your bat now, right? This lineup sure has a couple places where it could still get better. I don't want to ignore that fact and act like we're perfect in every position, but the idea of upgrading, is hard to imagine with the assets that we have, unless they're going to throw in prospects as well. So I'll leave it to you now. Who, if anybody, is most likely to get traded and what for?
Oh man. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I think that they value Singer more than like just where this offseason has shown that I think their value of Singer is high enough that I don't think that they were expecting, or they didn't get back what they would have wanted for it or what they value him at. And that's part of why he stayed. Yeah, the two things. So the two that I think about as most likely to get traded, I think my number one answer is I don't think that there's a trade. I think this is the lineup we go into spring training, and that's lock it in. Let's go. Barring an injury, this is what we're doing. But it's either Spencer Steer or Brady Singer. Those are my two that I feel that would be there. And let's see, why would you trade Singer, right? You would trade Singer because you have pitching depth and you want to bring in another bat. Well, you already have the bat now, and it just feels like anything that you could trade for now, that obviously there would be a loss to your pitching staff if you lose Brady Singer. I'm not sure, where or what you would do to upgrade. Now, I mean, predicting trades is crazy. None of us were on the Brady Singer to Jonathan India trade when that happened. So it's hard to say. I think they probably hold on to Singer now with this bat being filled. Spencer Steer is now an interesting one because I think that they're going to move him around in a super utility spot. But even beforehand, he didn't have like a clear spot for where he was going to get at bats. And there may be a team that sees what Steer is and what Steer has to offer and could be willing to part with either a prospect or something like that. And so I would say my number one choice is I think nobody gets traded, but Spencer Steer would be my most likely person that would get traded, even though I don't think that that's going to happen, just because his versatility and his, a little bit of a major league track record, I think would be able to get something back. And maybe, we talked about CES. I just don't know how much trade value CES actually has. I think he would get claimed on waivers if we cut him, but I just don't I don't think he's bringing back anything that's really having an effect on the 2026 Reds team. So I think that Steer stays, but if you're forcing me to say who is most likely to get traded, I think it probably is Steer, even though I think he's probably on the starting roster for this Reds team.
Starting a poll in the chat now for everybody that is watching this live or listening to it live. The question, of course, which trade is most likely to happen? Brady Singer, Tyler Stevenson, Spencer Steer, or no trades? We'll let the votes come in on that for just a minute while we break it down a little bit more, and then we'll see what everybody seems to think. I'm with you first and foremost. I don't think any trades will actually happen. I think Ben Rortvedt probably is the easy answer. My gut
Sam
tells
Maul. I saw Sam Maul also on the roster. I know he's a lefty, but no options left. He may be somebody.
It could be Sam Maul. Yeah, it could be Sam. Maybe a hot take, maybe not a hot take. Will Benson. I think he probably has a combination of return and depth ahead of him that could make sense for them to move him. It's probably for a prospect, which doesn't really excite you, understandably, especially for a guy who you hope can bring more talent to the stage and bring some more power. But a guy that was traded by Tito previously, who sat the bench for a significant amount of time, seems like maybe he could make the cut as a potential target. But ultimately, for those people in the chat that are saying this isn't about shedding salary at this point. This is strictly about opening up a 40-man roster place for Eugenio Suarez, because the Reds right now are maximized at 40. So they have to do something. It could just be that they cut or DFA someone like Ben Rortvedt. It could be somebody else and they move on from another Reds 40-man roster piece. I don't know exactly who that might be. You mentioned Sam Maul. Let's go through the 40-man roster real quick and just see who might be a target. I'll just throw out some names and you tell me yes or no if they're a potential option for either DFA, trade, or release. Sam Maul, you already mentioned, is a yes. Going through the pitchers, there's really not a whole lot of other options. Brady Singer for a trade perspective, Nick Lodolo from a trade perspective, maybe something like that. Maybe you move on from someone with control issues like Luis May or Zach Maxwell. But at least in my eyes, probably unlikely to be a pitcher if it's not Sam Moll.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they've kind of got it's either there's very few people that are just like they either are somebody that's going to play a role or a young guy that they expect to in the future play a role. So I agree. I think it would probably come on the offensive side, but it wasn't Sam Moll.
All right, so let's go offensive side of the ball then. Edwin Arroyo, they just added to the 40-man roster this offseason. He's not going anywhere. Leo Balcazar is not going anywhere. Hector Rodriguez isn't going anywhere. Sal Stewart, Tyler Callahan.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's like your only other middle infield depth. So that to me feels like he might be staying.
Yeah. One that's popular in the chat, Blake Dunn.
Yeah, Blake Dunn or Rhys Hines is another one that it feels like it feels like either one of those could be on the chopping block. Looks like Blake Dunn's 2 years older, and obviously Rhys Hines has the ups of and the downs within Major League Baseball. So we'll see. Either one of those I think could be on the chopping block. We'll see. I don't know. I think that there's still a potential for somebody like maybe even a TJ Friedel, where it's just like they choose to upgrade somewhere and Friedel gets added to the deal. And then maybe they're able to get a center fielder back. I thought this, when they were potentially looking at somebody like a Luis Robert or something like that. And, but yeah, I wonder if there's something in there too. I know they kind of just come out as that's kind of been squashed because Tito's said, hey, that's my dude. I'm not going for that, but who knows? I would say Blake Dunn, Rhys Hines. I would put Rortvedt ahead of them just because it's going to be hard to keep him on the roster anyway, because it's like we're not going to carry 3 catchers and he has no options. But those two are definitely people that could be on the block.
Yeah, Ben Rortvedt certainly feels like the easy option here at this point. Over 700 people watching and tuned in right now on YouTube. We sincerely appreciate it. Again, can't imagine you're watching this stream without knowing what's going on, but the Cincinnati Reds and Eugenio Suarez in agreement on a 1-year deal. It'll pay Geno $15 million in 2026 with the mutual option for 2027, bringing in $16 million. A couple interesting tidbits out there that I saw that I thought were worth sharing. The Cincinnati Reds haven't had a player hit for more than 25 home runs in a single season since Geno left in 2021. Suarez last year, of course, had 49 home runs, including 30 before the All-Star break. He's hit at least 25 homers in 7 of his last 8 full seasons. And then, of course, our good friend Charlie Goldsmith also with an interesting tidbit that I didn't even really think about, if we're being honest. In 2018, Eugenio Suarez signed a long-term contract extension with the Reds. That contract just ended, and now he is back with the Reds. So now the last 2 contracts that Geno will have signed have been with the Cincinnati Reds, even though he spent the last, 4 seasons elsewhere.
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing as well to think about. Eugenio Suarez and the Cincinnati Reds back together again, and we're looking forward to seeing Geno smile in the dugout and on
the
TV.
Real question is what color
else.
is hair? What color is his hair going to be when he signs?
And how long?
Is it going to be blonde again? I like the blonde Suarez. Blonde mohawk was pretty great, or is it going to be luscious long locks like it was for Seattle last year? Who knows?
All right, the chat now, or the chat poll now has been live for over 5 minutes, and right now, no trades is leading the way at 38%. Tyler Stevenson clocks in at 28%. Brady Singer at 24%. And Spencer Steer comes in last at 10%. Interesting, of course, because it feels like, I don't want to say Geno's a replacement for Spencer Steer, but certainly takes the role that Spencer Steer and Sal Stewart were going to kind of split a little bit. So if anything, it feels like he's the piece that might be most available, but But at the same time, you have question marks in the outfield, and his contract is friendly versus Stevenson going into his last year of arbitration, and Singer, of course, his last year as well. So those two players make sense. But again, no change at all. Certainly makes the most sense to me. Interesting proposal. Sorry,
I have a hard time trading Ty Steve just because what your options afterwards are not great. Like that's probably the biggest hole that's left without a player being going. I did see. Is it you talking about the one with Adley Rutschman?
Yeah.
You can talk about that one. Yeah.
Well, comment in from a good friend from overseas. Trade Ty Steve and a filler prospect of Baltimore for Adley Rutschman. Saves you money, and Adley has 2 years of control versus Ty Steve's 1. I want to double check something real quick because Adley doesn't save you any money. Adley's actually due $7.25 million. He already signed with the Orioles.
Yeah.
So like that, he's avoided arbitration for this year already at 7.25. So he actually doesn't save you any money versus the Orioles. And the Orioles are in a win now situation, which is interesting to see how they view Adley Rutschman versus Tyler Stevenson. I know a lot of people also really pining for Jarren Duran. That's been the name that many Reds fans have been asking for a long time. We'll start with the Adley Rutschman name. I think, go ahead and give your thoughts. I have mine.
I think part of the reason why he quote unquote may be available is because they have Basayo, the number 1 catcher prospect, also in Baltimore, right? But off of a down year, Adley Rutschman, a former number 1 overall draft pick and number 1 overall prospect, I believe, has not panned out at like that level. He's still, I think, been very good. So I'm not sure that just a filler prospect in Tyler Steve gets that done is the thing. It's like, I think that the value, especially that the Orioles have for this guy, is far more than that. As much as we love Tyler Stevenson, he hasn't done what Adley Rutschman has done, I don't think. So it'll be interesting. I think that sure, that would sound great. I just am not sure. I'm not sure that would be enough to get it done.
Yeah, it's interesting. As with every stat, right? You can make it fit your narrative. And
sure.
I think that's something that certainly can be discussed for anybody. But let's take a look real quick at this. This is over the last 3 seasons, and let's see if I can make this fit a little bit better. I'm not sure if I can do that or not. Or actually, I can do this, I bet. Let's see.
That's pretty good zoom right there.
All right. So over the last 3 seasons, Adley Rutschman has more than doubled Tyler Stevenson's WAR. He has more home runs, more RBIs, higher batting average, a higher on-base percentage. Tyler Stevenson slugs slightly higher than him, but Adley still has an OPS higher with an OPS plus higher. Oh, by the way, Adley's also a 2-time All-Star and a Silver Slugger. But if you change the criteria to only include the last 2 seasons, then things start to change a little bit, which is also interesting and why stats can always be built to what you want. Adley still has a higher WAR, but Tyler Stevenson leads in home runs, RBIs, batting average, on-base percentage, slugging, OPS, and OPS plus.
And a lot of that WAR is built in defensively because I think he's a pretty good defensive catcher. So I think, as we saw, almost every major offensive category, he was better than him at.
And then here's last year's numbers. Tyler Stevenson played 2 less games than Adley Rutschman. Adley had 0.6 more WAR, but Tyler Stevenson led in basically every other category except for hits. Home runs, he had 4 more. He had 21 more RBI, a higher batting average, higher on base, higher slugging, higher OPS as well. So Adley's WAR is, as you mentioned, significantly skewed by, or call it skewed, I guess, by his defensive ability. But at the same time, the Reds value defense. And it's one of the reasons why I think Jose Trevino got signed to a 3-year contract when he did, is because of the defense and the value that he brought as a leader. And so I think it's a move that, if I'm being quite honest, if the Orioles came to the Reds and said, hey, we'll trade you Adley for Tyler Stevenson straight up, I think the Reds would take that all day. I just don't know that they can put together a package that actually makes sense for the Orioles to do it, even though they have Basayo. But I think Basayo is going to DH some. I think he's even playing a little bit of first base. So I don't know that that's a deal that gets done.
Yeah. In a vacuum, that sounds great. I just, I'm with you. I'm not sure if that's nearly enough.
Yeah, I'm not either. Other name, of course, Jarren Duran, but that all that does is really even further muddy your outfield. Any other thoughts from a trade perspective? If they were to make a trade, any other players out there you think that fill a hole at this point?
Yeah, I guess maybe trying to get, I don't know if it necessarily muddies it. It muddies the backup. I think it just says, hey, Jarren Duran, congrats, you get left field. And now, Dane Myers, JJ Bleday, Will Benson, Spencer Steer are fighting for the backup spot. I think is, if anything, it maybe just takes that competition that's out there now and just adds it to the last man on the roster. But I don't know. It seemed to me from all conversations about Jarren Duran that the asking price for the Red Sox is much, much higher than, what anyone is willing to pay. And that's why he hasn't moved, right? Same thing with Ketel Marte, right? They were like, hey, we might trade him. And then they got the offers and they're like, okay, we value him much more than other people do. So, I'm not sure. I was always dubious on whether an outfield bat was coming anyway, just because of just the situation that we're in. And now it feels even less likely for that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll eat my words and maybe there's something in the works, maneuvering people around to make a spot. But I'm not thinking that something like that is going to happen.
Mike, I need you to treat me like I'm 5 years old. Okay.
Okay. I have a 5-year-old. I'll try.
Okay, cool. Tell me why Jarren Duran is every single Reds fan's number one target and has been basically all offseason. Why do they love him so much?
This is a good question. He basically had a very, very good year. And it wasn't last year, but the year before he had a very good year where he batted 285.
23 and 24 were very good.
Yes.
I will give him that.
And they basically, it's like, hey, we have struggled with getting any production out of left field. There's been platoons and all that kind of stuff. Who is the best available left fielder with control that we could go sign a big left fielder, but that wasn't the case. It's like, let's go with what we can do. And that's potentially trade for somebody. And that was why. It was Jarren Duran was top of the list of somebody that we could trade that could potentially solve our left field problem. So I think that's probably why. I don't think he is as good as what he showed in 24. I think that what he showed in 25 is probably more. It was still pretty good, but I think it's probably more around what he, what his true value is. Like he had a 10 outs above average in 2024. And then last year he had a negative. I think he had a negative outs above average, -4 outs above average. So I think that he probably is more, not nearly the MVP potential candidate that he was in 2024, more around what he is in 2025, while the Red Sox are not viewing him that way. So I think the Reds fans saw potential upside for somebody that basically solves a problem that has been an issue for so long. And that's why they wanted him. I just don't think that value is there.
I think a big part of what you just said is that Reds and Reds fans may value him more than what Boston even values him at.
Oh, maybe.
Which is interesting as well. Another interesting tidbit that just came across regarding the Eugenio Suarez signing. This coming from Chris Cotillo, a beat writer for the Boston Red Sox, who we just happened to be talking about. According to a source with the knowledge of Suarez's market, the 34-year-old chose the Reds over the Pirates, and Boston did not make a formal offer before Suarez made his final decision. I want to get your take in general about the Pittsburgh Pirates and their offseason so far, and but also want your opinion on Suarez signing with the Reds over the Pirates.
That's great, man. If you didn't think that there was another thing that we could like more about Eugenio Suarez, it was just like, I think I'd rather go play for the Reds than the Pirates. Well, I know that that's like, to everyone here, that's not that huge of a, it's like, yeah, of course I'd want to do that. But man, just add that to the list of why we love Eugenio Suarez.
Real quick, Mike, I will further that with another Pirates beat writer, Alex Stumpf, who went on to say that the Pirates offered the same contract to Suarez as the Cincinnati Reds, and Suarez ultimately chose the more favorable ballpark and familiarity with Cincinnati.
Yeah. He loves you, Cincinnati. He loves us. It's great to see. I think they're going to be able to build a statue with all the people that the Pittsburgh Pirates almost signed this year. I think I saw a graphic of it, and it's like almost an all-star lineup of people that they were quote unquote in on for signing this year. Yeah, I think that's great to hear. I would have been devastated to have to. It's like every time the Pittsburgh Steelers draft any Ohio State Buckeyes, I'm always devastated. It's like, now I got to root against you. Like I don't like that part of it. So I'm very glad that he obviously chose the Reds over the Pirates, and I think he was right to. I think he's going to perform better in this ballpark, a city that already loves him. And yeah, I think it's absolutely the right choice for Suarez.
Yeah, it sounds like the Pirates even were willing to go higher on the contract value and guarantee another year, but Suarez liked the idea of being able to cash in next season if he has a big year this year with the Reds. So interesting
Makes sense.
takes and interesting insight from Pittsburgh reporters that are, currently on the justification trail right now, I guess, maybe similar to how Reds front office leaks information when signings don't go the Reds' way. Feels like the Pirates are currently going down that realm as well. So here's my question for you, Mike, and I see some people in the chat already getting to this, so let's get to it as well. Obviously, before an hour and a half ago, this answer would be much different than it is today. But as we sit here now at 6:45 p.m. Eastern time, what grade do you give the Cincinnati Reds offseason at this point?
Oh, man. I didn't know when you were roping me into this, you were turning me into Stephen A. Smith over here, where I got to give a grade about something.
Hey, I'm just giving the chat what they want, Mike.
I know.
They want grades, baby.
What they want is they want me to say something, and then
all right, well, let's start with this. Grade the Geno signing. 1 year, $15 million, $16 million option. Grade the signing first.
I think the Geno sparring is a solid B+. Obviously, there is a little bit of risk anytime you're signing a 34-year-old, but you mitigated that with basically a 1-year deal for not that much money. Somebody that the city loves, that is going to bring power, which is exactly what you need. The only thing keeping me away from giving it an A is that he's a little bit older, and there is a risk for some regression. However, I think that regression could still be the best hitter in the Reds lineup. So yeah, I'd say B+ for the Geno signing. Could be converted to an A, could be convinced, but there's a little bit of risk that I've added in there. So for this signing specifically, I'd give that a B+. What about you?
I'm leaning A-. To your point, the age is a little concerning, as it always is, but I think if you looked at it, the two best fits for the Reds were Kyle Schwarber and they were Eugenio Suarez, and both guys are aging and both guys were going to be question marks. And so both signings would have gotten an A for me. And the fact that this is a 1-year deal, an affordable deal at $15 million, this is an A- signing for me.
Yeah. I think
now give me the whole off season.
Whole off season. I tended to agree probably with friend of the program, Clay Snowden, who came up and said a C. Just because I think they've done enough pitching wise, especially bullpen wise, that I think has been good, but I think the thing really holding them back was the power bat, and that's what they did, right? They went out and so I think we jumped from a C to a B. I think I'd say overall we're at a B for the offseason. And maybe I'm being hyperbolic because we're just so excited that they finally did something and went out and got our guy. But like, I think that this does a pretty good job here at filling the needs and setting us up for what we need this year. So yeah, I think I was at a C and now I'm at a B. I jump a whole letter grade.
It's pretty good. Geno will turn 35 this season. For those of you that are wondering, does that make him super old? No. We've seen obviously plenty of other guys that are that age and older get big deals, but certainly 35 is not the prime either. So we'll say what it is. In baseball years, it's not young by any means. But to answer the question about the grade, it's crazy how quickly one move can really sway you, Mike.
Yeah,
it really is. Like you said, it was a C. I would have been closer to a D, right? Probably not a D minus, because they did add to the bullpen and they did a lot of things that still made the team better. I still think if you were to add like a good outfielder to like avoid platoons and just give me like an everyday left fielder, I would feel even better about it. And I might give them like an A at that point. I think it's a solid B plus. Like I think they've had a good offseason. Like I think it can be better. I still think that they're not the Dodgers, they're not the Mets, they're not the Cubs, they're probably not the Brewers. Probably not the Brewers, but
yeah,
at the same time, like it's tough because this is part of the conversation too, is like this offseason as a Reds organization versus this offseason in the MLB overall, right? Like if this was the Dodgers offseason, you'd be like, what the F? Mm-hmm. But this is the Reds offseason, right? So that's the big question is how do we view this? Do we view this in the lens of the Cincinnati Reds, or do we look at it in the lens of overall? And either way, I think it's a pretty good offseason. I'll lean towards a solid B plus for the overall offseason. Now, if you go out and you give me an everyday left fielder that I don't have to worry about, don't have to platoon with, man, I'd be all the way up to a A plus.
Here we go.
But yeah, I think as it is, given the needs of the team, given the depth that they have in certain positions, I feel good. And look, Mike, the strength of this team all year last year, expected to be the strength of the team in 2026, is the pitching. The starting pitching is phenomenal. They have a ton of depth now across the way that gives this team an opportunity to compete. They now have an opportunity on offense to actually give this starting pitching staff some run support. So I think, how do you go from being so pessimistic last night to now being so optimistic just not even 24 hours later, man? I don't know how I do it.
That's crazy.
I'm back in the realm of wanting to put on my World Series hat, man. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but I mean, I'm pumped up. I think this is a big signing. I think it's exactly what a lot of Red fans were looking for. They wanted a power bat, and the Reds have done that. Eugenio Suarez and the Cincinnati Reds, 1 year, $15 million deal. Mike, let's start, at least to wrap this up. I know there's still a lot to talk about, but let's start in the process of wrapping it up. Give me some more final thoughts on the Eugenio Suarez signing.
I guess one last thought for me is one thing that I think is going to be fun with Suarez back is he's going to start chasing some milestones with the Reds, which I think is going to be pretty cool. Our friend Clay Snowden put out there that he's 75 home runs away from 400, which he's not getting next year, but like he's going to start moving up the ranks of like on the Reds leaderboard. And that's going to be fun. You know, having a guy that's going to, get to the top of or get near the top on home runs and RBIs and things like that, I think is going to be a fun thing to see as well. It's always cool to see somebody who's had such success and then hopefully be able to come back and experience some of that. So I think that's going to be cool. I don't know if the front office or the media staff can change it by now, but boy, let's get a Suarez bobblehead. Like let's bring a Suarez bobblehead with the bubble gum here soon, and we will be we'll be here. I think that would be pretty awesome. Getting that in the rotation.
All right, this question has been asked a couple times, so I'll go ahead and bring it up, Mike. It doesn't necessarily have to do with Geno directly, but it is somewhat tied in, I guess, and that is that the reports, I guess it was probably a week or so ago, who said that the Reds and Yankees should make a trade. Jason Dominguez disposable now that they signed Cody Bellinger. trade him to the Reds for Graham Ashcraft. So two-part conversation. One, do you think that that's a trade that either team would actually make? And two, is that an answer to the left field in your eyes?
So I think that's absolutely a trade I would make. Bullpens are, fluctuate. And I think Dominguez, while he hasn't panned out, still has plenty of upside. And I would say more upside than Ashcraft. Now, does that solve my left field problem? I'm not sure. Dominguez, part of the issue why he could never really stick is he's pretty bad defensively out there, which we know how that kind of sticks with somebody. Well, I don't know. He threw Gavin Lux out there a bunch last year, so maybe doesn't care that much about left field. But I definitely think that it's somebody that you can feel like maybe that can grow into our left field answer. But I don't know if it necessarily solves our left field problem for this year. Yet that's still a trade I'd absolutely do, because I think Dominguez has far more upside than what Ashcraft potentially brings.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to, at least in my eyes, it's hard to think that the Yankees make that trade straight up. I don't know that that's I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I don't know that they're ready to just move on from Jason Dominguez at this point. Just because they signed Cody Bellinger, hard to see that happening. He's still pre-arb in 2026. Like,
yeah,
they're not going to move on from a guy who still has 4 years of control. I don't know that makes sense for someone like Graham Ashcraft. But nonetheless, big day for the Cincinnati Reds, Mike. Big day. They get the reunion with Eugenio Suarez. We had a phenomenal viewership, and we sincerely appreciate everybody tuning in on a Sunday evening. We know that there's a lot of things that you could be doing to spend your time, and we appreciate you spending it with us. The Reds and Eugenio Suarez, 1 year, $15 million deal. They have an additional option for 2027 at $16 million deal. That is a mutual option as well. Geno expected to get a majority of his at-bats at DH while also being able to fill in at first base and third base. He had an offer as well from the Pittsburgh Pirates with a similar asking price, and decided to come to Cincinnati instead. And look, I'm excited. Mike's excited. The chat very clearly is excited, with the exception of a couple people here and there, it seems like. Mike, final thoughts.
Let's go. Spring training needs to start tomorrow. I'm ready. I'm excited. The pictures of Geno smiling and blowing an enormous bubble are just going to be just fuel for my soul for this spring. I'm excited for it.
Yep. $15 million is a steal in my eyes. I really do believe it, for a guy who hit 49 home runs last year. Pumped up for it, ready to go. And as Geno says, from now on, good vibes only, at least until we get to like July for me. We'll revisit in July, but I'll give you good vibes only for the next 5 or 6 months, and sincerely appreciate it. Looking forward now to the Cincinnati Reds season. The Reds just over a week away from pitchers and catchers reporting. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Drop this video a like. We appreciate the support as always. Chatterbox Sports is your home for breaking news for all your favorite Cincinnati sports teams, whether it be the Reds like today. Chatterbox Reds has you covered, but also the Chatterbox Bengals, Chatterbox Bearcats, FC Cincinnati's Flying Lion podcast. And of course, we have you covered every single day on Off the Bench and the Stone Shields show. Make sure you tune in on Monday starting at 10 a.m. Stone and Reed will be live to break this down even more. Any more information that comes out over the next several hours, they'll be able to get you covered. And we appreciate you guys' support as always. Really do appreciate it. So for Mike Hart, I'm Craig Sandlin. This has been Chatterbox Reds. Until next time, everybody, good vibes, baby. Good vibes.